Hello, 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 everybody. It is Jennifer Hart and the Connected Soul Network. Ta-da! This is Connected with yours truly. I'm the host today and always, Jennifer Hart. And we have a special guest. I'm super excited to have her on. First, let me tell you a little bit about me in case you're new here before I introduce Melody. My name is Jennifer Hart, again, for the third time. These are not scripted, as you can tell. And I am a connector. I connect people, I call them explorers, people who are seeking to explore themselves, to learn more about themselves, to better themselves through personal development. They're probably into spirituality, whether they know it or not, in my opinion. And I connect them with the guides. Guides are people who are healers, coaches, therapists, practitioners of some sort, and the business supporting roles that help the guides to move forward in their business, to be able to support the explorers and the other guides. And through this, we do this in the Connected Soul Network membership. And we run monthly events that people can attend. If you're a member, it's free. If you're not a member, it's $15. And the membership is open right now for guides in case you are like, hey, that's me. And I'm looking to connect with like-minded people. I want to reach more people and share my soul's callings and my gifts with the world, which is why I have Melody Long on today, because we are going to hear about her and her gifts. And if you are an explorer, the membership is coming. So stay tuned. I'll put the wait list in the chat. And with that, I would love to introduce to you our guest today. Her name is Melody Long, and she is a soul wisdom coach for women who long for a deeper connection with their intuition, inner wisdom, and spirituality so that they can reignite their life, be fully on purpose, feel grounded, so important, calm, and able to move forward in their lives with greater resilience and confidence. Melody has been a nurse for 30 plus years. She's always felt a deep connection with the divine and has taught practical spirituality for 8 years in her mentor's training courses. Melody's passion is helping women to know that the best years of their life are ahead of them. That is so true. As I'm getting older, I just see that life gets juicier and juicier. And she's also here to help women more deeply connect with that wise, intuitive, heart-centered, spirit-connected essence of who they truly are. I love that. That is so beautiful, Melody. And with that, let's bring her on. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so
Lovely to
excited.
be here.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm so excited to have you here. So I always like to start off with how do I know people, or how did the universe get us connected? So Melody and I were both in a year-long coaching program, and we started at the same time back in March of 2020. And we met through that program. We were building businesses together alongside each other. So we became in this sisterhood and having our own sisterhood together. And she's just a dear soul. Like, we instantly connected. She is everything in her bio that is true. And then some. She is very grounded herself. She always has just this very like loving, anytime I talk to her, it's always like, okay, Melody's here. And she always brings, like, I might be like, woo, and she'll just bring me right down, you know? And then, of course, we bonded from building businesses alongside of each other. And it's so important to have that community and that support. And now I have found that I'm actually not coaching, but I'm a connector, like I said. And I'm here to help connect people to the services and the guidance of people like Melody and what she's doing in the world, which I personally call like stepping into your calling or your purpose, which you talked about, in the bio that you shared with me as well. So that's how her and I know each other. And Melody, is there anything you would like to add to that or share with everybody?
Sure. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so have tolerance for lots of rain and cloudy days, but because of that, I love all the green and the mountains and the trees and the outdoor life. I've taken up flatwater kayaking recently in the last few years, so last 10 years maybe. So that's something I love to do also. And nature, I think, is just an amazing way for us to connect with the earth It brings us calmness and kind of, if we're having a hard time, I think connecting in some way with nature, even if you're walking in a city park or going out in your backyard and sitting near a tree or a pretty flowers or a flower bed or something, is a great way to connect.
It absolutely is. And I know every time I talk to you, it's always like, I'm going hiking, I'm going kayaking. And so that's probably why a big part of why you feel and always are so grounded is because you're constantly connecting with the mother earth and nature and all of the elements around you, which just
Mhm.
helps to keep you in that centered space.
Yeah, I think we underestimate the power of doing that. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so you are a soul wisdom coach for women. Tell me more. What does that mean? Like, what is that?
Well, I call it soul wisdom. Other people may have. I believe that we all have a deep inner wisdom, male or female, but I'm working mostly with women. And I call that my soul. But sometimes that has people have baggage around that word. So just to call it inner wisdom, uh, a deep knowing, our intuition, the part of the wise part of us, the wise woman inside of us. So I really am feel quite called to help people deepen that connection that we all have. We may have had events in our lives that have been disturbing to us and have kind of got us off track a little bit, and we're not as connected as we'd like to be, or maybe we were for a while and things have happened, life has happened, and we're not really doing those things that would connect us with our inner self as much.
Yeah.
So that's I just what I see with women and clients that I've worked with in the past is when we have that kind of connection, like you're very familiar with, life just goes better, just flat out goes better. It's not that I have not had dark nights of the soul or hard times, but there is this kind of underlying support internally from within that really helps.
I
So
love
that's
that.
kind of what I mean by a soul wisdom coach for women, that they would be able to have more access, more facility, more comfort, more ease with that part of ourselves.
When you say ease, I always think for myself, flow, ease and flow go hand in hand for me, and like joy
Mm-hmm.
and fun. Because when
Mm-hmm.
you're in ease and flow and joy and fun, like things just work out. Like I have a note. I don't know if you saw it earlier. I was readjusting my camera and it says the purpose of your life is to serve in a way that brings great joy to
Joy.
yourself and others. And I have this note here because I remind myself that when I'm in ease, joy, flow, and fun, by being connected to myself, to a higher power, to source, that everything around me just works so much easier and everybody else around me can feel that
Feel that.
expansion
Right.
and like a
Right.
little ripple effect that like
Yeah.
we impact other people by being in
Yes.
that
Yes.
state, which is so important with what you do is because you help women to connect with that, especially women that are transitioning into like a next phase of their life, right? Which is
Right.
happening all throughout our lives as people in general.
Yeah. I that's what I see, is that when women are in a place of, maybe you're a woman who's raised kids and now kids have gone off, and that's main reason for you having some being is has left, and you've launched them off and they're on their own a little bit. Maybe you're a professional woman who is has really a solid kind of connection under her and was wondering, well, isn't there something more than this now? Or maybe you're somebody who's widowed recently or divorced or separated, and you were partnered and now you're not. What I find in those kinds of life transitions, and those certainly aren't the only ones, but that we tend to be more open to change,
Yeah.
because what we knew before has been knocked, the ground is kind of changed underneath of us, and we don't have our footing again. And so we are kind of searching around to feel secure again, and we are open to more possibilities.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that's why change happens. We are a wiser part of ourselves has helped create change in our lives so that we can grow and deepen.
I love that. And also find our new path. So as you were talking about like those different transitions, I was writing down names because I was like, "Oh, there's some people I've talked to recently that are going through these transitions and maybe they would be interested in
Hmm.
hearing what you have to say or coming to your upcoming masterclass that we're going to talk about. Or they had told me that they are looking for guidance on their next step because
Yeah,
I don't have kids yet, but the thing that I think of is where I see it happening in my own life as I grew up, and then all my friends that have kids already. That's a huge transition because you've just dedicated 18 years of your life to this human being and you don't really know maybe yourself outside of how you are a mom, and then it's like and then they leave to college and then what, you know? So
yeah,
I love what you're doing. It's so needed. I wanted to, so I did mention Melody is doing a masterclass. We're going to talk about that. It's free. We'll get all the details at the end, so make sure you stick around. I just want to mention it so that if you're watching this, you know that there's some good stuff coming. Oh, and she is going to be our healer for the Call to Connect event on the winter solstice.
yeah.
Yay! And that's going to be December 21st from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's a little late for the East Coasters and for other countries. Sorry about that. But there's multiple events. If you are interested, I will have the link available to register. It's $15 for non-members and free for members. So become a member because we would love to have you. And it's going to be amazing. She's going to do a meditation specific to the winter solstice. It'll be very connected. I'm like, that's my word. That's the word I got to use. That's a side note. So, what I wanted to know though is how did you get started in all of this? Like, what was your transitional
Yeah,
point?
yeah, yeah. Well, I've been always, I say to people, I've always been somebody who's felt a connection to the divine or whatever higher intelligence or whatever word you would want to use. But there came up, and I was raised in the Bay Area during the 60s and 70s. So there was lots of upheaval, lots of personal growth kinds of things, lots of new age kind of stuff starting. And that was really impacted me. And I went from really a pretty traditional kind of view of religion and spirituality to a much broader kind of blending Western and Eastern philosophy. And I was married twice. And my second marriage, I had a couple of kids. I was a young mom working as a nurse, and my husband had a job that took him away a lot. So I was kind of inside the marriage, was a single parent even then. And our marriage fell apart, and it was really hard for me, really, really hard. I hit a very, very low point in my life. I lost my job because I really couldn't focus after going through this divorce. So it was a low point, and I knew that I was off base. I had kind of set aside my spiritual life and practice for this marriage and for being a mom and a wife. And I knew that I needed to get back to that. And I felt like I wanted to have a mentor of some sort around my spiritual life. And I was, like life synchronicity happens. I met that woman and spent, she was quite a teacher for me and really taught me a lot. And in the process of being with her, going through her training, 4-year, very intensive training program, and then teaching in that program for about 8 years. Um, and then she retired, and I am now kind of at the place in my life where I would like to kind of broaden my exposure to other people with what I have learned in those years, 20 some years of working, 20 plus, about 25 years of deeper exploration around spirituality and what it means to really understand that we're more than just this body and that we are connected in ways that sometimes we forget how connected we all are
Mm-hmm.
with each other. Um, Life is, in my view, is we're all energy. Everything you can see, touch, feel, think about is energy. And like you talked about, when you're happy and joyful and having fun, that the people around you are influenced, and they're influenced because of the energy around you, our auras.
Yeah.
And um, and it, I think it even goes beyond that. There's probably so much that we don't know about ourselves, really, that we are multidimensional beings that are probably in our infancy of really learning what that truly means for us.
Absolutely. Well, if you look at the fact and you believe in this, or you're at least open to it, of the multiverse, right? That we're not the only planet that has life and beings and energy and souls. Um, I've heard that Earth is like one of the least advanced planets of these lives that are out there, right? And so it's like I feel like I am here. I'll speak for myself. I am here, and I also think you are here to help raise the consciousness of ourselves by doing this like inner work, inner searching, inner connection to all of the source power that's out there and each other, to like help raise our overall conscious and move humanity forward. And as we do that, things are going to shift dramatically, and we are going to uncover a lot of these things that we don't know yet, that you were talking about. There's so much we don't know already, because
Right.
science is great, but science is proving things that already exist, and bringing it to life. And there's still so much out there that could be like expanded, and we'll like see those answers as we expand as beings ourselves.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah.
Who knew we were going to go this deep today on the interview? I did. Oh, I did. It's always like that. I'm here to teach people. I'm here to share information. Actually, one thing I do want to say is, can you define for us the dark night of the soul? I should have asked you that earlier, because I always think of it. Who was I when I first started on my spiritual path? First of all, I've always been spiritual. I did not know, though, a lot of the things until I like reached certain milestones. And so I like to look back and think, who was I before I knew that I was having a spiritual awakening?
Mm.
And I didn't know such terms. And so like I always like to just kind of break it down. So tell
Yeah.
me,
Yeah. Thank
what's
you
the
for
dark night of the soul?
yeah. It is a transition. It is a major transition. It is usually a time when you feel like you don't know your way forward. Things have changed dramatically, either physically or emotionally or spiritually or mentally for you in your life. And you feel like you're up against a wall of some sort. And it's called the dark night because you feel like you're wandering around in the darkness. You really don't have a sense about where to go forward. And in the evolution of a person on a path of self exploration, it is not uncommon. In fact, it's more common than not that people have some sort of event. I'll call it an event, a period in their life where things feel very low. You may feel depressed. You may have a physical illness. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe it was a bankruptcy. Maybe you lost a relationship. Something happened that really just felt like a 2x4 knocked you upside of the head. And it is, you don't have to have that to grow spiritually. But sometimes our egos are so entrenched, and there's a part of us that wants to grow, and our personality just isn't allowing that. And so this event happens to create some sort of an opening that will allow other possibilities to come to the surface. To, maybe you'd read a book now that you would never in 1,000 years before have ever thought of reading that book. Or
Yeah.
maybe you'll go to an event that you would never have thought you wanted anybody to see you at that event. Or maybe you'd reach out and listen to a podcast that you hadn't ever thought about listening to. Or somebody tells you, come meet this person,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So you're more open to possibilities during that time.
Yeah, exactly. So what I hear, to repeat it back, it's like something happens that's really hard in someone's life that's creating like a dramatic change that maybe has some lower vibrating feelings. I don't want to say negative, but like sadness, pain, hurt, sorrow, despair, something that
Depression.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
depression. Yeah, that's like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? I don't know how this is like happening and what am I going to do? And then as you come out on the other side of it, I always like to say on the other side of the pain is the peace. Once you work through it and you're shedding pieces, you're open to new things. So, what I see happening as I get older, a lot of death is happening now in friends and family of
Mm-hmm.
friends. And so, what I'm seeing directly is like when someone loses a very significant family member, life changes. And then they're like, wow, life is short and I need to do this, or now I'm open to this. So I see exactly what you
Mm-hmm.
just explained happening real time for a lot of
Yeah.
people, especially with COVID.
Yeah.
So,
And I think COVID has been a dark night of the soul for the whole planet in essence.
yes.
It has, unfortunately, many people have lost family members and friends,
Yeah.
and it has shook people to their core.
Yeah.
And it really has all of us asking, what's really important?
Yes.
Life may be a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be, and what's really important for me now?
Yeah. Well,
That's a
and just
pretty big question. Yeah.
it is huge. I mean, as since I was a kid, I've always known that like I'm here to do something more than just show up every day. Like I felt like I had a big purpose. And I think that COVID is now showing a lot of people what's important is commuting every day to my job. Like everything was just shown in a different light, like losing loved ones person after person, being on the trenches. You were a nurse during that time. So you saw it firsthand and how it's impacted people. And it's like it came here and now things are changing, people are changing. And that's why what you are doing with helping women to find that wisdom and that soul connection is so important. Also, because a lot of people are starting to say, wow, death is here right in front of our face. And maybe something else happens after we die and are being, I see spiritual awakening happening where people are realizing that it's not the end when people die. We're just a soul in a body having a human experience, but there's something afterwards. And like by connecting with that source or that power. And for some people, that's God and a religion, which is we all get to the same thing at the end, right? It's like
Yeah.
something at the end. And so the stronger the connection we have, the more we can just tap into what are we supposed to be doing while we're here and making
Yeah.
the best of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So that's kind of how I think of a dark night of the soul. That may not be a perfect example, but I think, it's a major change in your life that really knocks you in some way. Yeah.
yeah, I love that. And kind of with talking about the dark night of the soul, when you were talking about the transitions, those people, women specifically of who you work with, can be having a dark night of the soul by their kids transitioning and moving on and into their next phase of life or losing a spouse. Huge, and that I see,
Right.
gosh, so many posts on my Facebook right now of people losing spouses
Mhm.
unexpectedly and expectedly. And all the, I don't know, you name so many examples, but all of those are potentially something that is going to open a new person, a new you to come out, right? And have some of that support and community.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about your masterclass. Tell me, what is it
Yeah.
and who is it for?
Well, I really think it's for women who are really questioning kind of what's the next step. And the title of it is Who Am I Now? 3 Keys to Rediscovering Yourself. It's next Tuesday, excuse me, not next Tuesday, December the 6th, a couple Tuesdays away, at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or yeah, we're on Standard Time now.
Yep.
In the Facebook group Women's Soul Circle Empowering Women, and it will be from 2 to about 3, 2 to 2:45, something like that. And we're going to be talking about letting go of limiting beliefs, really opening up to creativity, and then being able, how does one then share your inner wisdom with others? And the feeling that that gives to really being able to support other people who are just maybe 1 or 2 steps behind you.
Yeah. What can you just describe for people that don't know? Like I always said, I when I opened up first on my path, I didn't know what a limiting belief was. I mean, to me now it sounds like it is, right? But I don't know that people exactly realize
What a
how
limiting belief is. Yeah.
well, how much beliefs create or
Our
show up in our
reality.
lives because we
Yeah.
believe them to be true, so we don't understand that they're actually a belief. So yes, please
Yeah.
elaborate on a limiting belief.
Well, let's see. I'll just think of a few. Like you may have a belief that you can only make so much money a year, or that
Mm.
you can only work in such a an industry that you really there's a blockage to you being able to do something else that you think is impossible. Um, Feeling like an example might be as you age, the belief that you're going to lose your memory as you get older, a belief that physically you can't do something. Maybe you're think that you'd like to climb a mountain and you feel like, oh my God, I could never climb that mountain. That's a limiting belief.
Yeah.
Maybe you believe that you could never be so quiet to be able to sit and meditate for 5 minutes, that your
Mhm.
mind just goes crazy and there's no way that you'll ever be able to learn to meditate. Or um, maybe you believe that the trauma that you had as a child is always going to tarnish you in some way and make you feel less than. Those are some examples of limiting beliefs.
Thank you. I love those. And I feel like as you were saying them, I'm like thinking of people and I'm like, yep, I've heard this, I've heard this. And so what I now know to be true is that everything is belief. Everything. And so it's like, what beliefs do we want to harbor? And so what you are going to be doing in your masterclass is helping women to understand how to release any limiting beliefs that they have.
Well, and first of all, just looking at what some of them are, there's a long list that I'm going to talk about so that people have a sense about what some of them are, so that they, somebody may not have any limiting belief about their finances, and and that there's no problem there, but they also might have a limiting belief about aging, about what they're going to be able to do or not be able to do as they get to be 60, 70, 80, 90, or
Yeah.
that they're never going to live that long. Exactly.
So the
So
first step,
the
oh,
first
sorry.
thing is just to acknowledge what
Yes.
they might be, and then how one works with them and how those limiting beliefs affect your creativity, affect your access to inner wisdom, affect your sense of well-being, really affect a lot of areas of your life, and why it might be important or
Mhm.
useful, maybe useful is the better word, to look at them
Yeah.
and learn some techniques about how to change that.
I love that. And why is, so moving on to the next key, why is creativity important?
Well, first of all, naturally, we are creative beings. Despite the fact that some of us may have had that quote unquote beat out of us when we were kids, that we took, this is a limiting belief that you were in the fifth grade and somebody told you you couldn't sing or you couldn't write or your dance moves were horrible, you'd never be a good dancer, or you're overweight and you're always going to be overweight, or whatever it was, that
Yeah.
something happened in your past and you just thought, okay, I'm moving on, and you just kind of close that door. So first of all, creativity is a natural part of being a human being. We all are creative. We all have different ways of expressing it. So really talking about that creativity is absolutely as natural as us breathing and our heart beating, and that it feeds our soul. It absolutely brings us joy and fun and lightheartedness to express in some way creativity. Whether it's that you're a great cook and you share some cookies or bread with your next door neighbor, or whether you write poems, or whether you do work like you're doing, we all have different ways to express our creativity. And um, your inner wisdom will guide you to that, to what that is, if you don't have a sense about it. But it really is part of becoming more human,
Yeah.
more fully present in what's possible for you. And, the energy that kids have when they're little and have not been traumatized yet by anything, they just are absolutely creative, totally moment by moment. They play makeup games, they create things in a second. And so talking about how, in your childhood maybe there was something that really lit you up, and how you might return to that energy again.
I love that. I feel like creativity for me, my story is my limiting belief was that I am not creative. That was what I thought
Yeah.
was true. And then what I realize is I'm super creative, and there are so many ways that we can express that creativity. And as I have done a lot of healing and inner work, I've released and shed those limiting
Mm,
beliefs and been able
mm,
to tap more into my creativity, which then brings me more fun and joy. And with that, when you, for me, tap into the creativity, I tap into more intuition, more connection with other people, more signs and synchronicities. And with that, I mean, when just these like coincidental, because I don't believe in coincidence, happenings happen where you are late for something and then you end up meeting this person and then it changes your whole course of your life. Like you can meet one person in 1 minute and your whole life changes. It's
it,
crazy.
it
And
could be possible. Yeah.
yeah, those are like the signs and synchronicities. And as I connect with more creativity within myself, I connect more to myself and also to source. And then I have these amazing just ripple effects of like the connectedness of all of us together. So I love that you're talking about that topic. And
Yeah.
then, oh, go ahead. We
Well,
have
I
to.
was just going to say, I think life becomes magical then. It really truly becomes magical. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And that's the thing, is that a lot of people have the belief that like magic isn't true. And that's why I love Christmas. I know it's a hard time for a lot of people, but I love it because it brings us back to the magic. And I want to create Christmas 365 days a year because people believe in magic. Well, that's a belief right there. Live. You are seeing a limited belief in action. I was going to say people believe in magic more at Christmas time, but that's a belief, right? I believe that people believe in magic. So that is a real time example
Yeah.
of a limited
Yeah.
belief coming out of my mouth that I caught. And it was like, okay, cancel, cancel, cancel. Um, I'm like, how do I say it? I would like to create the magic of Christmas all the time. That's
All
what
the
I want to
time.
create. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to focus on what I want to
Yeah.
create from that
Yeah.
belief and that
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the third key again?
The third key is how one confidently shares your wisdom. And so really it's tying those first two keys. You really can't share your wisdom if you have a bunch of limiting beliefs that you don't even have wisdom, and that you're not competent enough or good enough or worthy enough,
Yeah.
etc. to
Yeah.
share your wisdom. And if you haven't really opened up a little, even a little bit to some creativity, then you're not going to have that sense of confidentness to be able to say, you might try this, or my experience is this. For people who literally may just be a couple of steps behind you and are looking for some guidance. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And when you say share your wisdom, what do you mean exactly? Like in what way?
Well, I think you're sharing your wisdom by having these interviews, by
Mhm.
using your platform to connect people. That's part of your wisdom. Um, my wisdom is I have years and years of working with people's shadow and working with, I call it clearing the ego, um, processing things that keep us from moving forward. Um, Sharing your wisdom might also, it might be somebody who, you know, um, loves to play tennis and takes that wisdom to people who are don't have access to being able to join a tennis club and play tennis. So they do it in some public park, or it could be that you're a writer and that you teach people how to write. It could be, it could be teaching somebody how to meditate. It could be lots of things.
Okay, so what I hear and what you're saying is what I would just call like tapping into like your purpose, your mission, your soul's calling, your soul's work, your soul's gifts. Like that's what I'm kind of hearing. It's like coming back to home. For me, I have loved to make videos since I was a kid. Would I ever have thought that I would have a career in making videos? No, but this was like prior to the internet, which sounds so crazy and old. But
I know
we
it's
would take
true.
the video camera on your shoulder and we would make
Yep.
commercials and we would dress up and we would take items and then we would make skits and dances and all these things. And it would entertain us for hours. I had so much fun. And then I went to high school and I ended up taking a class for videos, and I
Mm.
was the person that was like the show host, and then we learned how to do the editing, and I didn't do a lot of that stuff. I mostly like to be in front of the camera, and so it worked because a lot of the other people like to be behind the camera. And who knew that, as much as I love that, I never ever thought to make it a career. And then once the internet came around and I started to tap back into what you call my wisdom, I was like, you know what? I can make my own videos. So now I interview people, which I love to do. I was telling you that earlier, because I'm here to showcase other people's gifts, which is my gift, and to help connect people to people that might need your guidance and your services. And then with that, I'm also getting back into making funny videos and fun videos. And I made one the other day, and I just danced around and I put this chicken that I got, and I got so many people that responded in my inbox and was like, I love your video. So I had fun and I was in joy. And then I gave that to other people through just fun and joy and using my gifts. And so that's what you're helping people tap into, is what I heard.
I would agree. I
Okay,
would
good.
agree. Yep,
I love it.
absolutely.
I love to
Absolutely.
tell stories. That's how I really relate.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
I know there's multiple learning ways, but that's how I relate, is through stories. So
No,
I like.
I think stories are great. I think that's it's so inbred into our DNA for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. That's how we shared wisdom generation to generation, is through
Yeah,
stories. So
it is.
we're wired for stories.
So I love your masterclass. It sounds like it's going to be amazing. And if anybody watching, any women, this is for women only. Sorry, men, you could still have gotten lots of knowledge out of this interview. And if you know a woman, you are connected to many women, please refer them. So again, the masterclass is on December 6th at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Is it only one day and you're covering all
It
the
it
keys?
It is only one day. Yes, it's
Okay.
about an hour. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So December 6th, 2 p.m. to, we'll say 3 p.m. Just put it in your calendar. And how will someone register or know how to come? Is it through your Facebook group?
I will give you the Eventbrite link. I don't know if you can
Okay.
put it with
Yep.
this recording through Eventbrite. You can register for it. Again, it's a free event, and you will need to join the Facebook group Women's Soul Circle Empowering Women.
I'll link that
Yeah,
also.
yeah, yeah.
Perfect. And is there anything else you want to share that people may need to know? It's free.
It's free. I will be, if you join the group, you'll have either the option of watching it on Facebook. I will stream, but it will also be, there will be a Zoom link. So if you'd like to join me on Zoom, you can do that as well. And I
Okay,
will
cool.
be putting the Zoom link in the Facebook group for people who are in the group. Yeah.
And if you just love Melody and you're like, I can't make the masterclass, but I would love to see what else you're up to and how we might be able to work together. I'll put the Facebook group here. You can join her Facebook group, and or if you don't want to join a Facebook group, I can get you connected one-on-one in a message.
Yeah, and I can give them a link for that as well. If they just want to be on my email list and get a newsletter from me, that would be a wonderful way to connect as well.
And we'll have your guide profile up soon. So then they can just go
Yeah,
check your guide profile, and all the information will be on there as well so
yeah,
that they can get
yeah.
connected with you.
Okay.
Okay. So is there anything else that we missed that we should add?
Well, I would love to offer anybody who's watching this that would be interested in a free gift called Affirmation for a Woman's Soul. And I'll give Jennifer that link, and you can click on that link and go to the page and download. It's a PDF. So um, sometimes it's nice to have um, a saying that will kind of lift you up for the day, or maybe hold on to it for a week and try to embody it a little bit.
I love that. It's beautiful too. Affirmations for a woman's soul. So we'll link that as well. So that'll be a free download for anyone that's interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I love it. And I'm so excited. So if you missed it earlier, Melody is going to be our featured healer doing a meditation specific to the winter solstice at the Called to Connect event on December 21st. That's a Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This event is for explorers and for guides. Once again, explorers, anybody that's seeking change, growth, development in your life, and guides, anybody that is a healer, a coach, practitioner, or supporting business roles, coming together as a community to support each other, to connect, and to be surrounded by positive, fun, like-minded souls. I think that's everything then. And I just want to thank you, Melody, for being here today. And the biggest compliment I can receive from people is when they join the membership. Melody is a guide in the membership. I didn't even say that at the beginning. And also just your time, because time is one thing that we don't get more of, although time, that's a whole nother conversation. But
It
money comes
is.
and money goes, but people's time is so precious. So thank you for giving us your time today and just being in the membership with us. We're blessed to have your presence and your energy in the
Well,
container.
this was fun. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. All right, everyone, we will see you soon. Have an amazing day.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.